So continuing on with some more great student examples of what I'm looking for the final showcase. I'm going to do one more print version and then we'll take a look at some digital versions. So this is another print version. Again, what I really love about this one is the visual consistent elements that are tied all the way through. So the student chose to have these 3 bars that she carried through. She has a very consistent color scheme, really just picked a monochromatic color scheme with this light green color and then supported by some nice neutral gray and black. She picked a consistent typography, so her headings are all this serif font again. The rest of her copy is a nice sans serif that's bold and easy to read. Make sure that you're focusing on legibility in this as well. That's a very important factor. And you can see that she's got a nice table of contents, considering that visual band element all the way through. If the facing pages element was turned on this PDF, you'd be able to see the image is side by side with their explanation of what this design was all about. So those are nice together. She sometimes uses this bar element diagonally, which is an interesting twist on her visual element. So you don't always have to have it exactly the same, but you can use it a little bit creatively. And sometimes her images go over the centerfold of the document, and that's perfectly okay too if you need a wider view of one of your art pieces. You might even want to take it all the way full screen and let it span 2 pages. And if so, consider how to creatively support that with copy in a different place. Got some iterations that are half and half. So one full page of image and then the other page is copy. And again, she's just creatively placed the text and images throughout the design pretty consistently all the way through. That one has a little bit of an odd overlap. I do want you to think about that rule of thirds. So if you're dividing your work into thirds, you want to make sure that there's nice visual elements placed on the third mark of each of your elements there. So again, all the way through, she's got that nice consistency, both in color scheme and font. Do pay attention to tiny little elements like where the lines overlap. She doesn't quite have that exactly perfect, but it's very close. And all the way through, very consistent to the very end. So again, the elements that I'm looking for are consistent color scheme, consistent font, consistent design, visual elements that brings the whole thing together, title page, table of contents, and a closing page. Okay, so now moving on to some digital iterations. These are for those of you who have been following along with the Adobe XD tutorials. This is totally optional if you want to. I might give some extra points for more higher level of difficulty if you choose to do something like this. But this person did have a nice digital portfolio and it's totally clickable. So if you're doing this, make sure that you have used your wires to connect each of these pages in your prototype. I should be able to click it all the way through and be able to see any of your designs. He's done something interesting here and grouped his designs in an interesting way. And you could choose to do that both in print or in the digital version. And he's grouped them by software. So all of his InDesign elements are together. You can click back and see the rest of the InDesign pages here. His Illustrator assignments are grouped together. You can click on them to view them larger, and he still has the explanation. And there's not quite as much room for explanation in the digital portfolio, but it's still there nonetheless. It doesn't mean that you get out of explaining your designs. We just have to focus on making sure that that is explained in a concise way.